Is Everything Psychic with Gayle and Mary. I am Reverend Mary Hawk, and this is Gayle Tracy Mull. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, Mary and I have really got to where we enjoy doing this together.
Yes, we do. So, if you are watching us on Facebook or YouTube, you can place your questions in the chat. We are here to discuss anything you want to talk about psychic readings, different ways to do readings, different modalities. And we can also do mini readings. I've got my trusty pendulum here,
Mm,
and pendulum is just quivering, ready to go.
ready to go.
And
And
I
I always have tarot cards. I have oracle cards. I'm actually well versed in a pendulum as well. Um, Divination is something that I have done. It's probably my first gift. It was really the first thing that I learned on that magical path. What about you, Mary? What was your first thing that you learned on your magical path? What
the
sucked you?
first thing I really learned was spell work.
Mhm.
That was the first thing. Kind of spell work and basic ritual work went hand in hand for me. Hello, Bradley. Thank you for joining us, and a
Happy
happy
Friday to you
Friday
as
to
well.
you.
Yes. Mm.
And then I took up, of course, tarot. In fact, my first tarot deck literally, sorry, pulled me off the internet, or off, not off the internet, but off the interstate.
Oh, wow.
My daughter and I were on our way to the mall. We were going to have dinner at the food court and watch a movie.
Mhm.
And I got off and she said, Mom, isn't it the next exit up? And I said, yeah, you're right. It is. But, oh, I want to go into Barnes and Nobles. That's it. And that is where I went in and found my first tarot deck, being a bit of a smart aleck because I had literally gotten paid that day.
Ah, how I wound up with my first deck. Um, I had a friend whenever I was pregnant with my youngest daughter who was just in earlier. And she taught me how to read on her deck. It was one of the Arthur White decks, and
Mm,
I still teach on the Arthur White deck. I believe in learning it first. I think it's a good standard basic. And whenever I moved away, of course, it didn't have cards. And it took me forever to find a bookstore that actually sold cards because I live in the Bible Belt. And I finally found one that had a white deck. I really searched for them because I was hooked immediately afterwards. And I worked for years learning to read those cards, by
right.
myself. And there's a lot more to cards than people think that there is. It's not just picking up a book and just reading from the book. It's You really have to learn about layouts and majors and minors and what different suites and there's different layers to a good card reading.
There are. There definitely are.
There really are, and I contend that learning different types of divination is one of our paths to increasing our knowledge and opening doors along our spiritual path. What about you? A new divination method, a new set of cards? I mean, for me, that's just like opening the door to knowledge.
It is. And I agree that the Rider Waite deck is a good deck to start with. It's not the one that called to me. It was the Celtic Wisdom Tarot deck that called me off the interstate.
Mhm.
Although I did get the Rider Waite next.
Yeah.
And I have a burgeoning collection
Oh,
of decks. Although I am
so
reading
cool.
with the Tarot of Hecate for the most part these days.
Do you have the Tarot of Hecate? I would like to see those because
These are the ones that Lord Don and I read with on Tarot Thursdays.
and it's the Tarot of Hecate?
Yes,
I have not seen it. I have looked for a Tarot of Hecate. Are they similar to the
it's
Rider
only
Waite's?
available through Corellian Publishing or Pagan World Publishing. It's probably coming out again in the fall. The last print run sold out.
Oh, definitely. I want one. I'm I have my name on the list.
I'll let you know as soon as it comes out again.
Definitely.
Um, that Lord Don meant to have it sooner, but he had the heart incident
Mhm.
and now he is having to move. So,
Oh, he's having to move. I did not
yeah,
realize
he's
that.
moving back to Danville,
Okay.
where
Okay.
he's from, Danville, Illinois. So, that has put a damper on getting the deck
Doing a lot of
reissued.
different things. Yeah. I
So,
I swear to you, I know well, tarot cards are an addiction. Am I
they
correct?
are.
Oh, look, we have somebody else.
Do you have it, Bradley? Do you have the Tarot of Hecate?
Apparently, he said he loves it. I mean, I think that I like that one. There is also a new oracle deck, and my house has decided to eat them. You know how the fairies take things away from you? And it is
Yes.
Polly Maw oracle deck. Oh my god, if you're gonna get an deck,
Ooh.
it is the one. Oh, so good. So good.
And he has all the infinite cards. And what he's referring to, as you can see, the back of the Tarot of Hecate is the infinity symbol, and that is because it comes with expansion decks, and mine are not an easy reach.
Of course not.
They are around the file. They're on the other side of the filing cabinet.
Mhm. I definitely I will have to talk to you about that. I love those. You know, another deck that I have recently started to use, and it's one that I really, really love, and this is The Wild Unknown. I dearly love The Wild Unknown, and I haven't met anybody that has these cards that doesn't absolutely love them. They're so intuitive, and like, you said for the expansion packs, I think that this particular author has several other decks that are now come out. They were self-published, um, and I mean, she's just they're so good. But, it's by Kim Cross, and that's, uh or Crans, Krans. Excuse me if my Texas accent gets in the way.
No, it's no worse than my Tennessee accent.
Yes, but, whenever we're talking about divination tools and, um, different types of cards and decks, I would be more than happy for people to call in and ask our opinion. And there's so many decks out there. There's so
There
many
really
kinds of
are.
oracle decks.
And Bradley has the Wild Unknown Tarot as well. Well, if
Yes.
you will put up with me stepping away for just a moment.
I I am still on my first deck of the Wild Unknown, but I do deeply love them. Now, I am on my second deck of the Shapeshifter deck. This is a Celtic deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's rather old, but these I read with these for years. I have started reading with the Wild Unknown. I still go back to Rider Waite. Um, it sort of depends on who you're reading for, don't you think, Mary? Which
Yeah.
cards you
Felt
use?
like this is one of the expansion decks. This are the astrology.
Oh, cool. Yeah. You know, as we talk about this, people often ask, you know, is it okay to buy a deck for myself? Some people will tell you that a deck has to be gifted to you. Um, there's all different sorts of superstitions and beliefs about how you get a deck. Now, I am perfectly fine with buying a deck, and
I have
you
bought
seem to be as well.
my decks.
Yeah. Um, if you're waiting for somebody to give you something, then you're on somebody else's timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't know about you, but they have to come to me and I have to pick them up and it has to go, yes. You
And
know,
actually, this is interesting that you said that to me because I was holding a tarot deck. The cards were round and it was called, oh, the Divine Feminist Tarot deck, maybe?
seeing that one, I do not have,
It
they're
it
all, I think they're out of print now.
it did not speak to me. A friend of mine who had to downsize gifted me several things that she could no longer keep, and she's passed on that deck to me. And I tried working with it, and it didn't work for
What's it
me.
yours?
I held on to it for 3 years, and then someone came into my house when I had them out. As you know, I'm getting ready to move, so I've been sorting, and I had all the tarot decks out, and I was sorting through them. And when she came in, because she was helping, that deck quivered.
Mm,
And I gave her the deck, and the deck was quivering for her.
you know, I have had that happen so many times, and I will be gifted something by somebody, and I'm like, "Why?" Or something wants to come home with me, and
Mhm.
it sometimes it could be years, and then all of a sudden the person will show up that it belongs to. So
Yeah,
that really does happen. It does. What else
it
did you say,
does.
Bradley? I think when you can buy cards, it's an exchange of energy and it creates more of a bond connection with them because you specifically sought them out. Yes.
Now,
Yes.
and Texas, or East Texas Psychic Fair is applauding. Thank you. Now,
Ah,
one thing I have heard about the tradition that your tarot deck is given to you is that that is an old tradition, ancient. Well, of course, as far as we know, tarot cards appeared during the Renaissance.
I have tried to read and study about it, and it's
Hmm.
really hard to determine when tarot cards came into being.
It is.
I
So
think
this.
kind of more widely used whenever there was printing.
Right. So, what I have read is the idea that the first tarot decks would have been hand drawn.
Yeah,
So, your deck would have been given to you because your teacher would have made it.
probably so. And also looking at them, they're an amalgamation probably of two different decks. The first being the archetypes, and then the other is probably something that playing cards have derived from, but it may have started out with a magical purpose, and then they sort of watered it down into playing cards, or vice versa.
Mhm.
Not sure which, but then they took and they combined these two.
Right.
Yeah, and it's really hard to know where the basics of divination began. I mean, the Romans talked about meeting the Vikings and the pagans, or Norse pagans, and how they would cast lots. And,
Right.
they were throwing runes, they were throwing bones, which is a totally another kind of divination. I do runes, by the way. Runes are one of my things.
I have not learned the runes. My things are tarot, I do pendulum work, and I do numerology. And
Sometimes I
so
forget all the things I do.
and we are willing to do mini readings if anyone wants to post a question. Since I do tarot on Thursdays, I'd kind of like to get away from tarot. If anyone wants to post their date of birth, I can analyze it for you. I can do pendulums, and the pendulum wants to talk to people. And Gail, what are you willing to do this evening?
I have tarot and oracle cards, and I actually think that I have my runes available too, if anybody is interested in those.
And if somebody truly wants a tarot reading, Gail and I can each pull 3 cards.
Yeah. And it's also interesting because people, whenever you use different types of divination methods, for instance, you using the pendulum and me using a card, it is neat to see how the different things flow together and complement each other. I've had people that had astrology readings, and then they come and sit down with me for a card reading, and they're like, "Oh my god, you said the same things but just a different way." But
Right.
affirmation, you get the information no matter how you go about doing it. And for those of you who saw this East Texas Psychic Fair symbol pop up, I'm sure my people are watching. I actually host the East Texas Psychic Fair. So, just to know.
Yes. So,
I
does anyone have a question they'd like to post for us?
I well, Bradley is talking a little bit here. He says, "I'm just starting to learn runes. I have a set of amethyst runes I just got recently." Oh, and hello, Jenny.
Hey,
Nice to
Jenny.
meet you. Yes, Bradley, I have had stone runes. I actually prefer the clay ones. But not anything against the stone ones. I love me a good stone. Um, you're really going to have to look at how you want to go about reading them. There are people who believe just in reading them to the traditional Norse way. I actually studied a book by Ralph Bloom, and a lot of traditionalists really hate him. Okay. But I particularly got a lot out of working with him. So it depends on whether you want a more traditional way or not. Um, the group leader for Texas Pagans and Heathens, uh, or Pagans and Heathens. I'll have to look up. Um, there are several people on there who can teach runes. There are. So, and let me see. I actually have uh, a set of runes today. And these are what my runes look like. This is a new pair of runes. I don't know how many runes I have got and given away over time. I think everybody should have a set of these, okay? They are our emotional guidance system. They're to help you figure out how you feel. Um, and so I just opened the bag and I pulled that one out. This one is Rado, and it's about uh, the journey of the self. So we're starting a new journey with this show tonight.
Yes, we are. And we've got a question from Jenny. Can we reach
Yeah,
my brother or my dad? Have they passed?
yes. I do a bit of mediumship. I know by no means call myself a medium. I have studied. Okay. uh,
I'm sorry, Jenny.
yes. She says, yeah, they have. Um,
I am
it makes
not
you,
yet a medium.
yeah. I get, Jenny, that it makes you, you're very anxious about them, or they were very anxious people. Somebody had, upset gut. It was like a constant anxiety thing. I don't know if that is any validation for you, but whenever you popped up, that's what I immediately got, is that there's a lot of anxiety. And I don't know if it was anxiety in the passing or whether the person had anxiety. Yes. Okay. Yes to those
Uh-huh.
things. Um, Mediumship, I have studied, and it's about first, you need validation to know that you're contacting the right people so that you
Mm,
feel like you're getting your message. So you don't want somebody who's just going fishing. Mm, was it your grandpa? Was your grandpa always anxious? I definitely get, well, you said brother or dad, but mm, did somebody die on a motorcycle? Did it have something to do with some kind of accident? And I do get motorcycle. Um, yeah, I get
she's saying for
motorcycle.
dad and
Well,
brother.
you see, I don't know. Um, I do on my East Texas Psychic Fair page, there are several mediums. They are very good mediums. Um, I would highly recommend you making an appointment with any of them. You can reach them through my page, and they can do that work for you. Like I said, I know bits of that. um, but Lana Johnson, who is on there, she has read for several years. She's Lana the Medium. She's out of Texas, and she is the most wonderful, beautiful, and blessed person. Rosa Ramirez is also very good. Do you know any mediums that do readings for people, Mary?
Uh, Tish Owen in Nashville is a medium.
Hmm. I mean, a mediumship is a calling, you
It
guys.
is.
It really is, and it's something. It is not for the faint of heart. because sometimes mediumship is one of those gifts that it doesn't turn off. It's a 24/7 thing.
Right.
You agree with that, don't you, Mary? That
Well, you have to learn how to establish your boundaries with spirits.
you do, but things call to you at just certain odd times. They really do.
A friend of mine, Reverend Ravenwolf Greenfield, you can look for her on Facebook. She is a medium. She has written Medium 365, a book available through Corellian Publishing on how to become a medium. And when I was interviewing her about it, that was one of the things she was stressing is she sets boundaries as far as I am available during this time period in
Yeah,
the day
yes.
to take messages because she's got to work. We have other things we have to do.
Yeah, and they can keep you from sleeping, and don't get me wrong, I hear my guides at different times, and sometimes they're like, "No, you're gonna listen until you get it, then they'll shut up." Jenny says that she sees spirits. There are definitely people who see. There are other people who hear. Um, and it is learning how to communicate. And I think probably that the mediumship book that Reverend Greenwood did, from everything I understand, you learn to use all your senses whenever
Right.
you're doing mediumship. There's taste. I mean, sometimes you taste something that somebody did. You There's hearing, there's sight, there's smell. So
Right.
you really work on all of your senses whenever you learn mediumship. Um,
Yes, you do.
One of the things, Jenny, that you can do if you want to just start opening to seeing spirits, there is meditations that you can find on YouTube. They're called Sitting in the Power. And anybody out there who is trying to learn any kind of divination skill, sitting in the power meditations are wonderful. I love sitting in the power. Have you ever done one, Mary?
I have not done that particular meditation. No.
They have several different kinds. Try it sometime. I mean, it is insane. It's off the hook.
I will try it.
Yeah,
And does anyone else have a question for us?
yeah. I'm not meaning to just go running on and stuff. So
That's okay.
it's just
Well, you still have to learn to deal with them, Jenny.
mhm, you do. And I can you shut it off? Yes, but you can ask them not to come anymore. But people who have done that often regret it afterwards. And it's not always so easy to turn back on once you turn it off.
Okay.
I'll ask a question. I'm traveling to Hawaii for a week. Sandy, what is the energy around my travel there and back? Well, let's see.
All right. Well, that sounds like a three card type of a question.
Hmm. I decided I would pull rooms for you, Bradley, since that is something you're learning to work with. Um, What I get is that you should probably travel light. Don't take a lot of stuff. Just do a carry-on bag at the most. I get that the trip will be profitable and successful, but I also get to be cautious. Do not overspend on your trip. That's what I'm hearing in my head. And it's very tempting. You're in Hawaii.
Well, ha ha ha. So the first card I drew is Odin, or the hangman, Odin receiving the runes. So this is about some sacrifice to learn. Then I've got the Three of Lamps, which this is about working together in community. And then I've got the Queen of Swords. Yes, it's me.
Mhm.
When Lord Don offered the Kickstarter, you had the option to commission a tarot card of anything you wanted, and I had asked him to draw me as the Queen of Swords in my favorite hat.
You see, I'm always the queen of earth. I'm the
Yeah,
queen of pentacles. So
I'm
I
the
get
Queen of
it.
Swords.
Yeah.
So, and my card is about learning your own strength through adversity. So, there are going to be some challenges on your travel, Bradley.
Mhm.
That's what I'm getting. Uh, it's going to be, the trip will be worth it for you. When you meet challenges, be prepared to make some unexpected friends and meet your challenges together.
Mhm.
If y'all wind up stuck in the airport together,
Mhm.
maybe you wind up pooling your resources, although I don't know how that would work getting to Hawaii. The thing comes in my head, you might wind up renting a car with somebody, but that's not going to work going to Hawaii.
Yeah. I
But there's going to be something to overcome. So be prepared.
Yeah, and like I said, if he's traveling light, it won't
Mhm.
make as big a difference. I mean, a carry-on bag, I'm telling you, you don't want no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carry-on
Nothing but carry on.
Yeah. Um, and just be cautious. Be cautious. The world is a little bit crazy right now. And I say be cautious with your money. I mean, to me, it's more about that.
Okay. And that makes sense. I'll be networking with people across my company that could open new opportunities, and I'll be traveling with a lot of them. So, yeah,
Yeah, and
if it goes haywire, keep your cool and come up with solutions.
but be strategic with them, okay? Be on the defense rather than the offense so much. Get to know them before you share anything personal. Yeah.
All righty. Does anyone else have any questions? Would
Yeah.
anyone like a numerological reading of their date of birth? There's a lot to do with numerology, but date of birth is what I can manage in a 1 hour show.
Yeah. She does some amazing things with that. You are so welcome, Bradley.
You are welcome.
You will have to come back on our next show and let us know how your trip to Hawaii went.
Yes. All right. So we got 3772. Gail, if you will chat for a moment while I do a little adding here.
I am perfectly capable of chatting.
I know I can depend on you.
Renee said she would love a reading. So while Mary is figuring out Bradley's birthday, what would you like to know about Renee? And if you have a preference for cards, runes, oracles. Oh, no, she wanted her birthday too. So
All
you
right.
have 2 birthdays to do, Mary. Look at you.
All right.
And numerology is not my thing, okay? I give it to Mary on that. Let's see. We'll do Reverend Mary did my numerology reading once. It was incredible. She is fantastic with it. Yes, I have had my numerology with Miss Mary as well, and she is incredible with it. We
Okay.
all have our thing that we're better at. So what you
So
got?
for Rosa Miranda, your life path number, the sum of all the numbers in your date of birth is 11. That is the number of the master teacher and the master psychic. When we find a double number like that, that means you have a special destiny in this lifetime. You are called to be a teacher, you're called to be a psychic. And so bear that in mind. This is a special spiritual calling. Now, looking at the different parts, March, the number three. Three is it's a number of good fortune. It's a number of creativity, artistic creativity, uh, talent in music, writing, painting, sculpture, drawing, something of that nature. So that is a talent. Those are talents you need to be developing, but I'm sure you already have. You also have the 7. 7 is the number of someone who is a deep thinker. It could be someone who is deep on a purely intellectual level, or it could be someone who is deep on a spiritual level. And with you, I think it could be intellectual and spiritual, but it's not going to be intellectual alone, not with the 11 life path number. So this means your spirituality is something it's not just a very emotional thing, it's something that you consider concepts on very carefully and thoughtfully. You have a lot of deep knowledge that you're here to share. Some of it, things that you've learned quickly, you're bringing through from past lives, and other things you've learned in this life. And then finally, the numbers in 1972, when I add them up, I get 19. You add those two numbers together to get 10, which reduces to 1. And number 1 is a number of strong individuality. It can be a number of leadership. It's a number of independence. And I joke about if you want to see a number 1 gone wrong, think about Batman on a bad day. When he's not listening to anybody. He's not listening to Commissioner Gordon. He's not listening to Alfred. He's not listening to Robin. He's going to go do it his way. So the 1 energy is a strong, independent energy. The downside to that energy is very much getting a my way or the highway energy. And I feel like that might be something you have to be careful of. So I hope you find that useful, Rosa Miranda. And then I need to do a little bit of figuring for Renee. So if you can keep our guests occupied for a minute while I get my trusty calculator out. And you are welcome, Rosa.
Yes, and Absolutely, Rosa. You can message me through Facebook. You can message me through the East Texas Psychic Fair page or through my personal page, Gail Tracy Mull. And there is a picture of me with the purple hair. So yeah, as long as you spell my name right, you are going to find me. I even have a website. So by all means, contact me. I do readings. I do a lot of different things with people. You got
All
your other thing figured out, Mary?
right. I've got Renee's life path figured up. So your life path is a 5. And 5 is a really interesting energy. It's my uh, soul number. And your life path talks about what you're good at in this lifetime. It's a good look at your skills and what a good career for you. The 5 number is, it can be a number of chaos. It's the number of someone who can turn everything upside down and inside out. It's
Mm,
the number of someone who's good at looking at a situation outside of the box. It's the number of a creator, an inventor. The downside to it is, like I said, with the number 5, you can just bring a lot of chaos to the situation. So that is the downside. Now, with the 8 for your month, that is 8 is the number of disciplined leadership. This is the number of the CEO, the general, the someone who can really fire people up and get everyone working on a plan with them. It's also someone who can be very organized and working out a plan to get something accomplished. And it's good you've got that energy because you've got another 5 here in your date of birth. So you've got 2 5s versus an 8. So you've got order and chaos. And I imagine a lot of times you kind of feel like maybe you're 2 different people because on one side you want to be organized and get everything down pat, and on the other side you just want to go with the flow, free form your ideas, and let chaos reign. So there's a balance there. And then finally, when I add up 1963 and reduce it, we come back to 1. So like what I was telling Rosa, this is the number with a lot of strong independent energy. But it's also the number of someone who can say, we're doing it my way and not listen to anybody else. So you've got some really interesting energy there to balance. But you have the ability to be a really strong creator and make a lot of really positive changes. So, Renee, I hope you find that interesting or helpful.
and
And let's see, Anthony is saying 7/11, 1978. All righty.
and while you're figuring him out, I will answer Rosa and the comment she's left me. Yes, Rosa, I remember you. I'm not always good at names, okay? And I meet a lot of different people. Rosa actually came to the East Texas Psychic Fair and I did a treatment on her, chronic pain release, and it was definitely a moment for us. Um, Anthony's excited about getting his reading with you. But I know that life does get in the way, and that's something for all of you to remember out there who are learning and studying. This is not a path about it being easy. This is a path about you making the time to do this. Believe me, Mary and I both, sometimes us just having time to talk during the
Yeah,
week is it's an effort.
it is.
Yeah. I mean, we both do full-time things as well as do this. Um, Organizing the psychic fair, people think, "Oh, it's just one day." Oh my God. You
Oh
guys
no.
do not know how much goes into one day a month. It's crazy. And I know that Mary is the organizer for several things. She's the organizer for a yearly event. She does the Pagan Pride Day there in Tennessee,
I do.
you know?
Okay.
So big deals, but we need to get that last reading in before we have to let Ed have his time.
Yeah. So, Renee, you're very welcome, and I'm glad that is helpful. So, Anthony, your life path number is a 7, and lots of sevens tonight. 7, again, is the number of someone who is deeply intellectual, or deeply spiritual, a deep thinker. So, you spend a lot of time in your head. You're very studious. You enjoy studying things deeply. The downside to this is that you can spend so much time studying and learning things, but not putting them to any good, useful purpose.
Mm.
It's great to learn, but you need to also share with people what you learn. And then your month is a 7. So you've got a double dose of this 7 energy there. So, do take your nose out of the book or off the internet and look around every time, now and then. Now, your
Mhm.
date of birth is an 11. And the 11, as I've mentioned, is the master teacher, master psychic number. So you are here to teach. You also have a lot of basic psychic abilities. So you are learning things and you need to be willing to share them with other people. And then when I reduce 1978, I get another 7. So you have got an awful lot of 7 energy. You are here to study something very deeply, very in depth, and share that with the rest of the world.
As you're talking to Anthony, um, I really pick up on his anxiety whenever you say to talk to people and to do things with people. I don't think that that is probably your easiest thing. Um, and the advice I would give to you, Anthony, is whenever we're scared of something and it's this nameless, formless thing, it makes it bigger. So you need to turn around and face it and face exactly what it is you're afraid of and name it. And whenever you do that, you reduce it to a manageable bite. Okay. And you can do this. You can do this because, like Mary said, you're here to teach. Okay. And you can't teach if you don't talk to people. So,
And Anthony, I'm also going to add that when I say you're here to teach, I don't mean you have to stand up and lecture live in front of 500 people to start out. You can certainly start smaller. You can record lessons for on video
mhm.
and do it on YouTube. We're always looking for people to record content for Pagan World TV. If you've got something you'd like to share, I'd love to hear from you. So, getting your voice out there doesn't necessarily mean a huge public speaking engagement.
No, it can just be you sitting in front of a camera. And believe you, believe me, believe you. If Mary and I can do it, you can do it.
Oh, by the way, I was the shy kid who didn't say much in school.
I was. I was the sort of the wallflower person, and now people, I mean, I'm in circle or I do an event, and it's like people don't know how to project. I hate these people who whisper all the time. It's like,
Oh, I
no, people need to be able to hear you.
Yes, and there's
Free?
my nephew Corey sending love from me and Uncle Kurt. Thanks for doing this. Well, thank you all for watching. I'm glad you're out there.
Yes, yes.
And
And
I want to,
all of you for tuning in. And
yeah,
please, we're going to be doing this again. What's our next date, Mary?
okay, we are doing this select days, Fridays each month. We're aiming for 2 Fridays a month. We have to work around Gayle's schedule and my schedule. So we will be on May 19th and May 26th.
And so please share this with all of your friends and all of your groups that we're going to be doing this. We're going to be posting, and everything psychic is really, I mean, we can do readings like we did tonight, but it's actually for you guys to be able to ask questions.
You
Um,
are welcome. And
you're
I'm
wel-
also going to throw this out on May the 6th. We will be part of the Corellians Live Telethon,
yes.
and we will be on at noon Central, 1 Eastern, and
Okay.
we will be doing the same format.
Yeah.
Everything psychic for 2 hours.
And, I think it's a good time for people to call in and ask about different forms of divination. Really and truly, divination isn't necessarily about reading for the public. It is about contacting your own sense of knowing and sharpening your own intuition. And all of these different tools are just a different form of that.
Exactly.
Yes. And so all different levels are okay and all different levels are appreciated. And sometimes you just need to be able to ask a question, you know. Um, it's things that take this big, huge book, and sometimes you can sit here for 5 minutes with me or Mary and go, oh my God, now it makes sense. And so that's sort of our goal with this is for people to be able to ask those questions that clarify. And
Right.
by no means do you or I, either one, know everything. But if we don't know something, most of the time we've got somebody we can refer you to or a book
Yes.
that you can look at or, you know,
Or we'll go research it and find out.
yeah. I mean,
I
there's so
own a
many
couple of
different
books.
Um, I've actually been researching the new divination method, lithomancy, and
Yeah,
I am enthralled with lithomancy, you guys. I mean, I have read for nearly 30 years now, and I have found this new thing called lithomancy, and oh my God, I love it. And one of the readers at my psychic fair does it, Jean McNeese. I'm hoping that maybe eventually we can get Jean to come on.
I
But
certainly hope so.
yeah, but it's as he calls it, it's like throwing bones, which he does use. Somebody's asking me what is lithomancy. It's technically throwing bones, which he does use bones that he has responsibly resourced, but he also uses different objects that he finds. It may be a seed or a nut. It could be like a little metal key that he's found somewhere, a porcupine quill, all these different objects. And they all have different meanings to him. So you can ask a question just like you ask of us. And he literally uh, upends this little bag and all of the things fall out and he does a reading for you. And it is insane how accurate
Mhm.
it is. And it's just so cool. And I'd never had lithomancy. So, yeah, I just wanted people to know eh, if you're
Yeah,
learning, you're dying. If you're not learning, you're dying.
exactly. There's always more to learn.
There's always more to learn, and divination is a huge subject. Absolutely huge.
It absolutely is.
And if anybody tells you they are an expert, yes, isn't that interesting, Bradley? If anybody tells you that they are expert at something, I don't know about you. I don't necessarily like people who claim expert status at things.
Well, I just ask a few questions and see what happens.
Yeah, I think claiming to be an expert on anything is an invitation for somebody to show you just what you don't know.
And there is that. And there is that indeed. I have been
Mhm,
studying numerology for 20 years, and I just bought a book from Ed Hubbard, who is coming up at the top of the hour with the daily spell. So
mhm.
please stay tuned for him on numerology. It's an older book, it's been out of print, and there's some information in it I have not come across before, and I can't wait to dive into that and expand my own practice.
Yes, and like I said, a new deck of cards for me is a new door to learning. Learning the new divination system. It opens me up to more and new knowledge. So it's okay to learn and it's okay to mess up.
Yes. All right. And we're coming up on the top of the hour, so we are going to head out now. I'm Reverend Mary Hall,
I'm Gail Tracy Mull, and we will
and
see you next
this
time.
is Everything Psychic with Gail and Mary. And we want to thank you so much for joining us. And we will be back on May 19th at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. And please stay tuned for Ed the Pagan, Hubbard, and the Daily Spell. Thank you, Bradley.
Yes, blessed be.